us. Late night mic, the red light glows. One small truth in a room that knows. We've got miles of worry, names and blame, but every heart still wants the same. A place to land, a voice to trust, a little peace in the middle of the road.
Get comfortable.
Talk it out, we figure it out.
So here we are, the first episode of the Lucid Lounge. And I figure there's no better place than to start with me. So, who the hell is ML? Well, that's one hell of a story. And I'm going to tell you. The girl I used to be, my story starts way before ML existed. I had a childhood that wasn't easy. And, I experienced things as a child that no child should ever have to experience. I'm not going to go into all of the details today. Some things are mine to keep, but I will say this. Those experiences, they changed me. By the time I was 13, I ran away from home. So let's think about that for a second. 13 years old. I was trying to figure out how to survive when I should have been trying to figure out who the fuck I was. I became pregnant at a very young age. I had my baby at 15. So while other teenagers were worrying about school, friends, what they're going to wear growing up, I was already a mother. And I think that a lot of people don't realize that what happens when you have to grow up before you're ready. You learn how to survive, but sometimes you don't learn how to live. And that became a pattern in my life for a hot minute, for a good while. Um, and when life got dark, oh, oh, that's hard. I eventually ended up in a relationship that was fueled by alcohol, um, and it became violent. I experienced domestic violence. And there were times when I didn't even fucking recognize the person that I was becoming. My life became more and more chaotic. And eventually I became addicted to heroin. And that's not an easy sentence for me to say out loud, but it's my truth. I became a drug addict. And eventually I went to prison. Yes. For a long time, um, I could have looked at that part of my life and said, that's who I am. I could have did that. But I don't believe that anymore. I really don't. That's something that I went through. Um, it isn't who I am. Okay. The turning point of it all. When I got to prison, um, I made a decision that I wasn't going back. And I didn't. And I've been clean since I got out, which was in 1992. And that's a long time. And I have to say that I'm very proud of that. But I don't say that because I think that I'm better than anyone else. I say it because there was a time, there was a time when I honestly, oh my God, when I honestly didn't know if I would ever get here to this point of my life. I didn't think that I would ever get here. And somehow I did. That's the one thing I've learned about life. Sometimes you just don't see the road out. And You just got to be brave enough to take that next step and to take another one and take another one and continue until you eventually look back and realize, holy fucking shit. Look how far I've fucking come. Look how far I've come. Oh man. But it's this is life, right? And so life has a funny way of throwing wrenches in your plan. Life hit me hard yet again. And I'm going to try to get through this part because this is the hardest part, I think. On the 4th of July in 2002, my father was walking home. He didn't drive, so he was walking home and he was hit by a car. He ended up in a coma. And man, he never came back out of it. He never came back out of that. He passed on July 29th. I wasn't there. Now, that whole time that he'd been in the hospital, I I was essentially was living there. I was there from morning till night. It got to the point where the doctors and nurses were forcing me to go home and saying, "You can't be here. You need to go home. You need to get sleep." And that night, I happened to come home and I fell asleep and I was having a dream. I was having a dream that my father was he was reaching out his hand to me. He was calling me by my name and he was saying something and I couldn't understand what he was saying. And I remember reaching out to try and touch him. And then my phone rang and woke me up from that dream. And instantly I knew, I already knew that my dad was gone. I knew it. And I realized in that split second that that was him in my dream coming to tell me goodbye, that he had to go. Man, that absolutely fucking broke me. Losing my father, oh my god, it broke something inside of me so deep within me. I went through a really dark period afterwards. I mean, I was depressed so bad. And I was trying to figure out, you know, I was trying to figure out how you keep living when someone you love suddenly is gone. Like, how the fuck do I do this? Right. And then, and this went on for months, and something happened that changed my life yet again. This is the turning pain into something. Okay. This is turning pain into something, and I'll get to that. So I found out that I was pregnant. Life, bro, life. Again, life. I lost the baby. I lost her. Yes. It was a girl. She was a girl. And I named her after my father. My father's name was Joe and I named her Jolene. Um I didn't know what to do with all of this. I didn't know how to unpack it. I didn't know what to do with the pain. So I created something. I started making candles and I did it in honor of my baby. What started from grief eventually became my own business. I ran that business for about 12 years. And something that began from one of the most painful times in my life became something I built with my own hands. And I think that's something that I've always done my entire life, though. Um, I've taken whatever was left and I tried to build something from it. That's how I've always been. The people who aren't there Today, I don't have a relationship with my mother or my sister. Um, and that's another part of my story. But I've learned that sometimes peace, it doesn't come from fixing every relationship. Mm-mm. Sometimes peace comes from accepting that some relationships aren't meant to be what you wish they were. Okay? And I'm okay with that. That's okay, and I'm okay with that. You know? I'm okay with that now. ML Chaos Co. Somewhere along the way, I also started creating in a different in a completely different way. For those that know that when I was going through yet another part of a period where I was depressed and had a lot of anxiety, um, I did seek help, and I was challenged to come up with a hobby and do something. So for those who know me know that I've been painting ever since with acrylics, different mediums, pencils, acrylics, pens, charcoal, things like that. Um, so that's another side. But I also came up with another way of creating, and in a different way. And so I have a streetwear company called ML Chaos Co. And ML is for Mary Lou. That's what people call me. And chaos. Well, let's just say that I've had enough of it in my life to in my life to earn that, right? Chaos. I say it all the time. But the shirts aren't just shirts to me. They're really not. A lot of the DTF designs that I create tell a story. Sometimes they're funny, sometimes they're very dark, sometimes they're about things that I lived through. Um, it's another way, yeah, it's another way I take what's in my head and I turn it into something that people can actually see. And I have a lot in my head. And honestly, I think that that creative side of me has always been there. I just keep finding new ways to let it all out. You know, who is ML now? Who is ML now? Today, I'm married again. I'm at peace. Oh man! And when I say at peace, I don't mean that my life is perfect. It's not. I mean, I finally stopped fighting with the person that I used to be. All right, I'll say that again. I finally stopped fighting with the person that I used to be. I don't have to pretend those things didn't happen. I don't have to be ashamed of every mistake that I made. I can look back at that little girl, honestly, that little girl, that teenager, that young mother, that woman who survived violence, the addict, the woman who went to prison, the woman who lost people that she loved. And I can say that you made it. I can say that you made it. There was a time when I didn't know if I would ever feel this kind of peace. And today I do. Today I do. Why the Lucid Lounge? And maybe that's what the Lucid Lounge is really going to be about. Not me sitting here pretending I have all the answers, because I don't. I don't have all the answers. I'm still figuring things out. I just have a hell of a lot of life behind me to talk about it. Sometimes it'll just be me. Sometimes somebody will pull up a chair, and join me. But wherever the conversation goes, we're going there. I don't want to put this show in a box. I want to talk about things that make us laugh, the things that make us think, the things that we don't always say out loud, and sometimes the things that make us say, "What the F?" You know? I want to see where it takes us. And honestly, I mean, that's kind of the point, you know?
Welcome to
So
chaos.
that's ML. Not the whole story, because trust me, we've got a lot more to talk about.
Late night mic, the red light
This is the
glow.
Lucid Lounge. Dim the
One
lights,
small truth and
pull
no
up a
one
chair,
really
and
knows.
let's see where the conversation
When
takes
you
us.
got miles of worry, names and blame, but every heart still wants the same. A place to land, a voice to trust, a little peace in the middle of the rush. We talk it out, we figure it out, from the first hello to the last word out. Any topic, any road, any town. If you say it real, we'll turn it around. Side by side, we can be heard. One good conversation can change the world. We talk it out, we figure it out. That's what we're about. Coffee cups and a spinning wheel. Funny stories, a wound that heals. Big ideas with a human name. Same old fears in a brand new frame. Some are lost, some are already found, but every answer starts with a sound. We talk it out, we figure it out, from the first hello to the last word out. Any topic, any road, any town. If you say it real, we'll turn it around. Side by side, we can be heard. One good conversation can change the world. We talk it out, we figure it out. That's what we're about. When the night gets loud and the signal fades, we lean in close, let the static break. No perfect script, no polished line, just honest words at the right time. We talk it out, we figure it out, from the first hello to the last word out. Any topic, any road, any town. If you say it real, we'll turn it around. Side by side, we can be heard. One good conversation can change the world. We talk it out, we figure it out. That's what we're